Hello everyone, Kirsho here, and today we are going to be doing part 10 to What If Deku Had Bone Manipulation. So I know season 4 is going on right now as I am recording this, but after season 4 wraps up, I do plan on coming back and redoing this, since this is going to be my first and one of what I personally believe the best What If I have done so far. Considering this is my first What If, I will say this is my best, my personal best, but I am not better than some certain other YouTubers because they've been doing this longer than me. I'm just saying personally, I feel this is. I'm saying I feel like I've done my best with talking about this What If. Anyway, this is going to be part 10 to What If Deku Had Bone Manipulation. And when we last left off, Deku knocked All Might's lights out, and yeah, he wrecked All Might. And Jiro had lost her voice. Now, I don't know exactly how many days have passed since the combat test and the forest training arc. So let's just say a couple of days have passed and they're on the bus. Deku and Jiro are sitting right next to each other and they're actually holding hands and everyone's talking about this. And people keep asking Jiro questions, but she just tugs on Deku's shirt and pulls him in. And she would actually whisper into his ear. And after that, he would tell them what she's saying because her voice is not fully healed. Recover Girl said she should be able to use her voice again in uh let's say her voice will she Recover Girl healed her vocal cords, but she just was told not to talk for the next couple days. But uh the next day she should be able to talk. Well, she can't talk at volume, but she can whisper. Because Recover Girl didn't really know how to heal vocal cords. Because she can heal broken arms, yes, but vocal cords are more complex. Okay. At least in my opinion, it seems like it would be easier to heal an arm than someone's voice. So anyway, that's going on, and they're kind of teasing Deku and Jiro, and they would stop for the bus. Or the bus would stop and they would get off. Now, the Pussycats would show up, and Deku and some of the other classmates would actually not. Deku would still know who the Pussycats are, so he'd say that they were an old group of heroes. Tiger, he would actually get mad at this and try and throw a punch. Deku would harden his left arm up to that point right there and actually stop Tiger's punch effortlessly. And Tiger would be kind of surprised at this, so he would try and put more and more force behind his fist, but Deku is seemingly just not moving. Tiger keeps trying to move him, but Deku's not moving. So he would say that he's impressed, and Aizawa would tell him that that's not going to work. He, him, and his girlfriend have not only have both him and his girlfriend held their own individually against All Might, but when working together, they actually knocked him. They were able to weaken him and knock him out. Deku has knocked him out. And Tiger, hearing this, would actually be impressed because he knows how strong All Might is. He would respect All Might. So the whole landslide thing would happen, except Deku, he would have expected this, so he was actually creating a pair of wings on his back. Well, not. Well, he wasn't expecting it, but he was creating a pair of wings on his back after Tiger threw a punch at him. And now then. Hmm. Now then. Let's see. Nope, that is my left ear bud. That would happen, and they would be told that they have 2 hours to get there. So, Deku and Jiro would actually be obliterating most of the creatures while everyone's running. And not All Might, Deku would actually harden his fist and all of his arm up past this point where it would be spikier again. And he would actually throw a punch in front of him, and it would actually obliterate most of the trees in front of their way. After that, Deku would start flying. And the Pussycats would actually be in shock because they basically watched as for 1 second there was a forest, and the next there's a giant path where tons and tons of trees just were. And they see Deku flying away with his wings. Now, everyone would get there within an hour and a half actually. Deku and Jiro would be some of the first people to get there. Ida would arrive, and then Todoroki and everyone else would arrive. Now then, for the training, they would. Tiger, knowing that these two are seemingly above or near All Might level, would actually have them train together. And everyone would see what Deku and Jiro, how they trained. And they would just be amazed because they see that Jiro's blasting them at 60 to 70%, and everything behind Deku seemingly just shaking to the point where it would eventually turn to dust. And Deku is fine. In fact, she's actually blasting him in the back, and he is trying to stay as still as possible because she's actually blasting him in his where his wings are because he has them spread out. And then she would turn it up to the point where she is at 65%. This is this is the new maximum she can use it at, and well, this is her new maximum that she can normally use it at. But 70 to 80, well, 70 to 75% is where it starts hurting her muscles again. 80 is where it will basically leave her, basically destroy every muscle fiber in her body, and she won't be able to move. Now everyone's basically watching this, and Deku, he essentially he would entirely shatter most of his quirk's body, or his whole body. It's covered in, well, that's hardened, and everyone would see this as the bone around his body is essentially almost not turning to dust, but it's just so cracked up. And they would see as Deku would hold up one of his hands, and Jiro would stop blasting him, and Deku would immediately just regrow all the bone that was there, and he would tell her to go again. And everyone kind of doesn't have time to be amazed by this because they're all trying to train their own quirks. And they'd actually be more pumped and more. They would essentially they would want to try and do their best because these two are. But these two both have a chance of being the number one hero. But them together, they could be the number one heroes. And now then, skip to the villain attack, or actually no, skip to lunch. Deku and Jiro are actually laughing and having a good time. They're actually sharing a meal together because they would have cooked it together, and everyone's seeing that they're actually acting like a proper couple. Because Deku would get a fork and actually like give Jiro some of what he made. She would do the same. Everyone's laughing and giggling about it. They're having fun. Everyone's having fun. Skip to the villain attack. The villains would attack, and in this part, because whenever Deku did land, since he essentially looks, since he has his eyes and his most of his face covered, and his hair, since it's longer and actually hardens to his body, it looks like a hood. So people would have actually, Koda would have thought he was a villain attacking, and then Deku would have turned off his quirk and fixed his hair. And after that, he would have just sat down and started waiting. And Koda would have actually been hesitant to, but he would approach Deku and he would ask him why a villain is here. Deku would explain that he's not a villain. He just wants to be a hero and that his quirk used to harm his body. So Koda, he would not have that hatred. Well, not hatred, but he wouldn't have that hatred towards heroes that he does in the original canon. But he did watch the sports festival and see what Deku said. And, well, he wouldn't have watched the sports festival, actually. He would have just tried punching Deku. But Deku would have dodged him and told him that that's not a good idea. So now, let's skip to where everyone's there. Skip to everyone's there. You stupid. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm very tired. Skip to the villain attack, and Deku knows where Koda's hiding place is, like in canon, and then Muscular, they would have attacked, and they would have seen Bakugo's dangerous quirk and try and recruit him for the League of Villains, but they didn't see him as. Well, actually, they kind of saw him as villainous because the way he took down Ochako in canon. And yeah. Well, after they try and find Bakugo and all that, Muscular runs into Deku. Deku would fight Muscular. And since Deku actually was training his quirk, he can now use it 20% better. And since he was already at All Might's level, well, actually, no, he can use it like twice as better. So 50% of his power was 50% of All Might. And he's fighting with Muscular. He's holding his ground. Then Muscular starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that whole thing where Deku tries fighting back Muscular's giant arm would happen, but his quirk would keep breaking and breaking and breaking. And he's constantly repairing it to the point where his back leg stops unhardened, his left arm unhardens, his right leg unhardens, his chest unhardens. The only thing left hardened is his hand. In a desperate effort, Deku would have actually tried going past his quirk and shooting Well, he would have extended a giant bar directly into Muscular's, right between Muscular's eyebrows, and this wouldn't kill Muscular, but I know there's like a sensitive nerve bundle where if you hit someone in it, it's actually the best way to headbutt them. This would knock Muscular off his gain, and then Deku would reabsorb the bar, and he would try and turn his quirk on. He realizes that he can't use his quirk for a second, so he keeps trying and trying and trying. And cut to whenever Koda is about to fly off. Well, there was a shockwave after this, and Koda, he is nearly flying off, so Deku would actually catch him with one of his arms while laying on the ground, trying to pull Koda up. Muscular would have. Muscular would come to attack Deku. Deku would power up past his power. He would power up past this and nearly. Well, not nearly, but he is powered up to around this area. Actually, more because he's doing the whole. His body is entirely white and his assault mode is still on, but it's just weaker right now. And then whenever Deku tries to turn it on to the max, something astonishing happens for Deku. Let me. Sorry about that. I had to cut and actually find a picture of what I was thinking about. Anyway, where would Muscular stepped on Deku's legs, and Deku almost let go of Koda, but his grip tightened. Muscular would have said to Deku that if you were going to give up so easily, I can just kill you, then kill the kid, then he could be with his parents. And Deku, hearing this, would actually push him over the edge with his anger. Because he's angry at himself. He won't be able to save someone. He won't be able to save himself. He'll leave Jiro alone. He just feels pure rage at this point. So he would actually throw Koda. He would throw him over himself as much as he can and over Muscular. Muscular doesn't care because he says he can just kill Koda after he gets done. Then Deku just goes quiet. Muscular is awfully cocky at this point. He tells Deku, if you're gonna go quiet, well, if you're gonna pass out on me that easy, then I'll just kill the kid and wake you up. Kill the kid and have you and wake you up again. Now, after this, Muscular would get off of Deku's legs and begin to walk over to Koda. As soon as Muscular is right in front of Koda and is about to punch him and kill him, Deku, he would have actually gotten back up and activated his quirk. But this time, Deku is in rage. He can barely feel any pain, and that is because he went from being this all the way, somewhat in between this with the horns to this mode. This is Deku's final. This is Deku's absolute limit. He has been trying to find a limit to his quirk by constantly trying to break it over and over and over again. Deku has finally found it. It's basically like this, but without the sword, wings instead of a cape, and without the mask on it. or this bar. So now then, Deku would actually he would extend his arm out and shoot a spike. Now, when he does shoot a spike, it actually punctures Muscular's arm and goes completely through it, shattering the bone in his left arm. Deku would then scream at Muscular and charge at him, and he would knock out Muscular and take him down. Basically, he put Muscular into a coma. Not killing, but comatosing him. Then he would go around the forest, because let's say Jiro actually did take out Toga and Dabi. No, she took out Toga, the mustard guy, and they can't find Dabi because he's somewhere hiding. He's not. He's still in the battle, but he's hiding somewhere. So Deku is flying around as much as he can. He has his face covered and his everything below his face covered and his ears covered. So his quirk essentially gave him a mask or made him a mask, and his body is just all like this. And Deku, he is just flying around. He put out the fire in a split second by just, with as much force as he could, flapping his wings at it and creating enough wind to blow the fire away. After this, Dabi would have tried to restart the fire. Dabi would have gotten taken out immediately because as soon as Deku saw the fire start up again, he would have flown right at him. He would have cut off. Yeah, let's say he cut off one of Dabi's fingers. Whenever he went in to go punch him. And what I mean by that is, Dabi, he would have tried using his quirk, but Deku would have gone to punch him in the face. And with the amount of force Deku had, whenever Dabi fired his cremation at him, Deku went straight through it, knocking. Dabi would have tried to move his hand. Deku would have taken off his little hand on his left hand. His little hand on his left hand. His little finger on his left hand. And knocked Dabi into a tree. Breaking his back and knocking him out. Now, after that, Deku, he would meet up with everyone. And whenever he lands, everyone is looking at Deku because his hair actually formed a bridge right there where the third gap is to where his armor is. Right there at the top left. And the top left right now is where that gap would be, where his hair formed it. And everyone would be looking at this, and Jiro would have. Well, Deku is seemingly just standing there. He's trying to calm himself down, but he can't. He essentially drops down to his knees and keeps trying to calm himself down, but he angers himself more. And whenever this does happen, Jiro would have started screaming for Deku. Because Mr. Compress actually did grab. He didn't compress her yet, but he grabbed her and flew away, seemingly. And as soon as Deku turned, Mr. Compress compressed her and took her with Bakugo. Deku, seeing this, would charge at Mr. Compress and start flying at him. Mr. Compress would try and compress Deku, but right before he did, Deku almost killed him with a punch. Essentially, making him fly through. He punched him, and he seemingly flown 200 feet into a tree. The reason why this didn't kill him is because he actually compressed his body, and the three marbles, whenever they hit the tree, actually shattered. essentially breaking them out of the compressed state. Mr. Compressed was still damaged, so he just passed out from his injury. And Jiro would walk up to Deku because he's walking towards Mr. Compressed. She would try and stop him and calm him down. And Deku wouldn't be paying attention. And whenever she goes and she kisses him, she begs him to please come back to her. And this is whenever she starts crying. Deku would look at her, and actually wipe one of her tears away. This is whenever he starts dropping out of this mode. What by meaning by that is, as soon as he comes down back to around this, he would have fallen over and passed out. Now everyone is kind of scared, but also happy that Deku's back. Because anytime they think Deku has a limit, he would just keep proving them wrong. And that's what frightens them. Because he has proved himself to be called an unstoppable force. Now, what... Oh, crap. Momo did put a tracker on the Nomu, one of them that Deku didn't kill, because they would have found the beheaded Nomu left in the forest, and Momo, or the person who confused things together, would have actually said, well, would have stopped Deku, or would have not actually. Let's just say that Deku missed that one, because it already left before Deku went into his berserk mode. And now Deku, he would wake up the next day, and she was actually cuddling up next to him in his hospital bed, informing Deku about what went on, what happened. Oh, there's a hair on my screen. Informing Deku about what happened, and let's say someone actually took a picture of Deku, and she would actually whenever Deku woke up, she would have tried making sure he was calm, and Deku would have tried moving, but his whole body hurts. And he doesn't remember anything after. Then he would try and jump up out of bed and say Koda, he needs to go help Koda. Then she would have to reassure him Koda's okay, he saved him. He actually took out a lot of the villains in the forest, and she got the rest of them. But one of the Nomus got away, and Momo put a tracker on it. Deku would then actually relax hearing this news, and yeah. The next part, I will be going over the All for One fight and the Big Three fight. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, she would essentially kiss Deku again, and they would snuggle up back in the hospital bed, and yeah. Everyone would come to visit them, and they would see this and get kind of jealous. Basically, how essentially Deku, the unstoppable force, well, Deku has basically no limit, and how the other person who's stronger, well, the other strongest person in their class, essentially Jiro is the person who is Deku's lightning rod. He can keep him under control. Alright, I think my recording is about to get full, so this is Manuki signing off.